Hello, my name is Rudy. I have braces, and I also have some unfinished business to do. I have a YouTube video to make. Now today will be my second YouTube video. As you guys know, you better watch the first one. Please watch my first one. Okay? Anyways, I must give a shout out before we start today's video, which will be a history of video. My shout out today will be to my cousin Connor. Connor helped me start this YouTube channel. And he also has a YouTube channel of his own called World Class Casting. It's about fishing. Please go check it out. Link in the description below. And we also have a sponsor for this video. Our sponsor is water. You need water to live. So go get a glass of water and make sure you drink it. Water is also good for you and it gives you energy. Water. Thank you for sponsoring me, water. Now, today's video is going to be about the history of Daft Punk. So I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you know who Daft Punk is. The French electronic duo who make amazing music and are rumored to make another album this year. Please let it be true. And if you clicked on this video not knowing who Daft Punk is, well, you still clicked on the right video because you're about to learn about them. So, you have a few questions. How did Daft Punk get to be so famous? Why do they have robot helmets on their head? Well, I'm here to answer all your questions and to tell you the history of Daft Punk. Guy Manuel de Home Cristo was born February 8th, 1974 in Neuilly-sur-Seine, sorry if I said that wrong, I'm not French, France. Thomas Bangladeter was born on January 3rd, 1975 in Paris, France. Both of the members of Daft Punk took up music at very early ages, whether they were playing the piano or they were practicing the guitar. Both met at a high school they went to and they quickly became friends. Soon after that, they decided to go to a film school together. But after deciding that they didn't really like film, they decided to form their own music group. The two called their music group Darlin, which would be a guitar cover band. And they added a third member with them who is undisclosed and is not known who it is. The guitar cover band Darlin released their first album at, again, in unknown time. And the British magazine Melody Maker reviewed the album, and their music sounded like Daft Punk. That's important for later. Now, after that, the band quickly split up, but Cristo and Bangladeter didn't discourage them, and they formed their own group, using the name Daft Punk, the criticism that was given to them. And they turned it around to become one of the most famous names today. But we'll get to that later. Now, the two first released their first single called The New Wave in 1993. Though it was an okay song, it was not well received by critics. Though they did not let it discourage them, and they just kept deciding to make music, unlike Darlin, which broke up. The next song they released was called Da Funk. And as you know, if you are a Daft Punk song, this is widely known as one of their best songs ever. And it is a great dance song too. So this was an instrumental track that was both heavily favored by critics and fans of the time. After this, record companies started bidding to sign these two men, and they ended up getting signed by Virgin Records, the very famous record company. And in 1997, they came through with their first album, Homework. Daft Punk used a lot of samples in this, and it created some very good songs. Da Funk was in this album, and at the end of the album, they also reversed Da Funk to create Funk Odd, which is a reversal of Da Funk. They also, in this album, made one of their most famous songs today, which could also be considered one of their best songs ever, and as my number 2 favorite Daft Punk song, Around the World. So this album hit 150th on the top 200 album chart for Billboard. And this in a year after Homework was released. No one likes Homework, but I like this Homework. It got 2.5 million sales. That's a lot of sales, in my opinion. So after this, Daft Punk decided to try something like a live show. So they went on a live show, and then it was so good that people wanted an album of it. So they made one called Alive 1997, which was just one long running track. It was about an hour and 10 minutes long. Now, at this time, Daft Punk did not wear the robot helmets that they were very much known today to wear. And instead, they wore bags over their heads or face paint during their interviews, which I don't know how they could breathe in the bags, but they managed to. So they were very publicly shy as that shows. Now, people wanted another Daft Punk album right away. They decided to release a film, because I guess they wanted to release a film. So they decided to release the film called Daft, a story about dogs, android, firemen, and tomatoes. A very odd title, if you ask me, and an odder movie. But regardless, they did it, even though it wasn't a great movie. They did it. They wanted to do it, I guess, and they got their movie out of the way. So good for them. But fans still wanted their album. That wasn't Alive. They wanted a studio album. So then, in 2001, Daft Punk came through with one of their most known and well-respected albums to this day, and my favorite, Discovery. Now, I have this album on vinyl record, and I play it all the time. When I'm doing homework, I play it. It's just one of the best albums. And it had some of their top 2 tracks, what I rated as number 4 and number 1 on my list. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, and One More Time. This album made it to number 44 on the top 200 Billboard album list, and it was in the top 3 electronic albums of the year. This album, and most of the songs, have more of a poppy type theme to it, but it still kept the techno integrity that Daft Punk was much known for. Now, instead of wearing their face paint and bags after this album release, they decided to turn into robots. What do you mean by turn into robots, you ask? Well, here's the story that they gave. They had all of their music ready for discovery on a computer as normal human beings. And then a computer virus came and wiped out all of the music. So they're like, oh no, what do we do? And they decided to become robots, which then remembered everything on the Discovery album. And they never went back to humans. They just stayed robots. Now, it is said that the robot costumes, which have built LED lights into them that can show off some designs, were built by Hollywood face artists, and it cost about $250,000 just for one helmet. So both their helmets combined cost about $500,000, but that probably didn't put a dent into their cost. I mean, they're millionaires. That's a lot of money, though, that they used. So, as another way to promote the album Discovery, they decided to go back into the film industry to make a cartoon movie this time. Well, to help them, they employed Leiji Masumoto. Sorry, I can't pronounce those names. And he was a very well-known Japanese anime maker. And they decided to make a movie together called Interstellar 5555, the story of the secret star system. And it's about these 4 band members who are aliens who get abducted by someone on Earth who wants music records, and he abducts them to make them into worldwide stars for the Earth and human beings for all to hear. Now, you guys should definitely go check that movie out. It has a 7.8 rating on IMDb. It has a lot of Easter eggs in it as well. It has a football game going on between the creators of the film, their countries. So the French, as Daft Punk, are French, and Japan, as Masumoto was from Japan. And it also has a little cameo from Daft Punk in it during an award show scene that they are featured in. But right after this, Daft Punk went back to the studio to record their 3rd album called Human After All. Now, the difference from the past 2 albums and Human After All is that the past 2 albums were more techno-based with a little bit of pop, but this album was fully rock-based with very little techno in it. And it showed in their songs like Robot Rock and Technologic, which very much had rock beats in it, but very little techno. If you listen to the songs, you would hear barely any techno. Now, this very album and songs were bombarded by critics, and at the time was considered a flop of an album. In my opinion, it had some good songs on it, but again, it was not accustomed to what Daft Punk was usual to doing, and what people thought what Daft Punk was a techno band, and when they go to rock, people didn't really like it a lot. So then, to try and joy the people up again, they went on a live tour between 2006 and 2007. Just like the other live tour they had back in 97, a lot of people loved the live tour as they went around the world and toured and did shows all around the world, in the United States, in Asia, in Europe, all these places. And they actually came to Chicago in 2007. They played at Lollapalooza, and it was a very big hit. I'm going to tell a personal story really quick. Not personal, but like family story. My uncles actually had tickets to that Lollapalooza that year. But instead of going to the day that Daft Punk played, they decided to skip out on it, which they usually go to all 3 days. And my uncle says that it's the biggest mistake he's ever made about music ever in his life. So, I still give him some trash talk about it to this day. So hopefully they go back on tour. I'd love to see him. So then they ended up putting out another album called Alive 2007. But the difference from Alive 1997 and Alive 2007 is that Daft Punk had more songs in their arsenal than just one album. They had 3 albums that they could use to mix their songs. And instead of having one long hour on the record or in a album for Spotify or Apple Music, they chopped it up into different mixes. So instead, you could hear it just separately if you wanted to pick one song, and you wouldn't have to listen to the whole thing. But I do advise listening to the whole thing. It is absolutely amazing. So then, after that, Daft Punk took a little break from music and from movies, and no one really knew what they did. But regardless, artists still loved them, the people still loved them, the critics still loved them. And the artists loved them so much that people use their beats and they dig songs about them. Like LCD Sound System, another techno band, did a song called Daft Punk is Playing at My House. And it is a pretty good song. And other artists like Busta Rhymes used the song Technologic in the background of their song called Touch It, which uses the back, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it, as its basis. And it was a very good song because he used Daft Punk. Of course, Daft Punk had to give okay, but Busta Rhymes turned it into what it was in his song. And also Kanye West, while he still made rap music, used the song Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger in his song Stronger, where the back of Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, the lyrics were the background of his music, where he rapped over it. Then, in 2010, Daft Punk signed a deal with Walt Disney Pictures to produce a soundtrack for a film of theirs. It was unknown at the time what film they were producing a soundtrack to, but then it came out they would be producing the soundtrack to the sequel film to a 1982 Disney film called Tron. In 2010, the movie Tron Legacy hit theaters while the movie was iffy and it wasn't that good, Daft Punk's soundtrack to that movie became an all-time classic around three soundtracks and could be compared with some soundtracks by John Williams, who is basically the soundtrack master as we all know it. 3 years went by and there were absolutely no signs of Daft Punk. The only thing we saw from Daft Punk in those 3 years is they again helped Kanye West in his album Yeezus by providing the beats to the first 3 songs. But otherwise, there was absolutely zero traces to Daft Punk. On May 17th, 2013, Daft Punk dropped their 4th and final studio album to the date, which is March 1st of 2020, called Random Access Memories, or as I call it for short, RAM. Now, RAM was both highly criticized but highly praised by critics. Regardless though, the album was a big hit for fans, and they collaborated with people such as Pharrell Williams and Julian Casablancas. That year, Daft Punk won 5 Grammys for that year in the Grammys. They won Album of the Year and Best Dance and Electric Album for the album Random Access Memories. The song Get Lucky won Record of the Year and Best Pop Duo/Group Performance. And the engineering team from Random Access Memories won the Best Engineered Album, Non-Classical. Now that's a lot of Grammys in 1 year, 5. Daft Punk has a total of 13 awards, but 5 Grammys in 1 year is a lot. Now they took the top number of Grammys from that year, 2014, with 5, and they have the 4th most Grammys in one night for the 2010 decade. Now, since that Grammys, Daft Punk has basically been unheard of again. The last someone heard of Daft Punk was in 2016 when they collaborated with The Weeknd for a few songs. But otherwise, Daft Punk has been nowhere to be found. Nowhere in the music industry or the film industry, which kind of sucks because Daft Punk is, again, one of my favorite bands. They're not really a band, they're kind of like DJs, but regardless, they should be one of yours too. But since then, there have been a lot of rumors about Daft Punk, but most of them are very untrue. Some of them including they're going to come back to Lollapalooza, which I really wish was true, because Lollapalooza is here in Chicago, and I would definitely go to see Daft Punk because their live shows are just amazing. But every year, that rumor always gets shot down, which is kind of sad to hear. Another rumor was that they were going to go live again in 2017, because if you didn't notice, the trend was they went live in 1997 and they went live in 2007. So people assumed that they would go live again in 2017, though sadly that didn't happen. Another rumor last year said that there was a music drop on SoundCloud, no, not SoundCloud rappers, those are very bad, that they said was a music cutlet from new album that Daft Punk was producing. And everybody was very hyped about that, including me. I thought it was Daft Punk personally. Until it was found out that it was a different techno group. Very sad. And that rumor kind of got everybody hyped up, and then now it makes everybody sad. But then everybody got their spirits back up, because earlier this year, there was a rumor on Reddit, which has been told by a lot of people, that Daft Punk was dropping a new album this year, in 2020. And I really hope that's true, because I want a new Daft Punk album. It has been a long time, guys. Don't you want one? Because I want one personally. Okay? So, even though it has not been confirmed whether that rumor is true or it is fake, a lot of people say it isn't true, but also a lot of people do say it is true. So it's very hard to say whether it is true or it isn't true. But I really hope it's true. And at the least, I want Daft Punk to go back on tour, because that was amazing. But since then, that's basically been it for Daft Punk. Daft Punk's been making music since 1993. But unless you don't include their Darwin career, it's been 1993. It's been a very long time, and they've only released 4 studio albums. But each one of them has been great in their own different way. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video about Daft Punk. And I hope I got you interested in Daft Punk. I really hope you go and listen to their music. It is very good. Very, very, very good. Please go listen to it. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and have a great day. And go drink water.